All right, kiddo, jump down. Hello, everybody. All right, so live on Facebook and on Instagram today, I am feeling very inspired to simply share as much value as I possibly can for all of you people out there, men and women, who want to start online businesses, who have ideas. Hi, Ian. Thanks for joining. Say hello as you guys pop on, ask questions as we go. Today, I basically want to talk about how I got my online business up and running in less than a month, right? I'm going to start with just a little bit of background on me and kind of how I do things so you understand the perspective that I'm coming from. But basically, guys, I have always been the kind of person who's not going to wait for someone else to open the door for me. And that's how everyone needs to be in today's world, especially online, because pretty much every market is oversaturated with both really high quality content and very low quality content. So if you are trying to be on the online atmosphere, if you are trying to provide a service specifically online, definitely not talking about brick and mortar right now, there's a few things you have to have. Integrity within what you're selling. You have to be very ambitious, and you have to open your own doors. You cannot wait for other people to hand you the opportunity to happen. So a little bit of background as to how that has always been a theme of my life. I was a dancer. That was what I originally planned on as a career. And guys, I want to be super freaking honest with you. I had so little technique. I spent 11 years of my life learning very poor technique and then miraculously received a $150,000 scholarship to go to an all-girls boarding school. And upon doing so, pretty much climbed the ladder as fast as I possibly could to get to the upper levels of training within that program at this school that I went to. Or the school was called Greer, by the way. Maddie, I see you're on here. Hi, Maddie. Maddie went to school with me. Cool. So when I had the opportunity to go to this boarding school and train with these girls who have been training professionally for, if not their whole life, pretty close to it, it was intimidating because I didn't have the credentials, right? On paper, I did not look good. I might have had 11 years of training behind me, but it was once a week and it was shitty training, like, excuse my French, but it was bad. I had the worst technique ever. On paper, it did not make sense for me to do well. But here's the thing, guys. I entered into that program. I worked my ass off. I believed in myself. I showed up. I did the work. And guess what? Every time a scholarship was offered, if I went after it, I got it. Every time that there was a program that could happen over the summer where I wanted to be there, knew I couldn't pay for it, knew I didn't have the credentials to get in by myself, I auditioned at a scholarship opportunity, and I would always get the scholarship, not because I knew what I was doing, not because I was more technical or a better dancer than anybody else who was there, but because I believed in myself and because I wasn't going to wait for someone else to open the goddamn door for me. So that was the dance career, right? I climbed the ladder. I achieved so much success in such a short period of time. Guys, in 3 years, I went from the worst of the worst technique, but all the confidence in myself, to like pretty much college level, ready to go into a college program dancer, potentially company. Like, it was insane. The quality of growth that I experienced just because I opened the doors for myself. Now, after choosing not to follow dance as a profession, I moved to Florida and obviously had to get a job. So guess what I did? Does anyone want to guess? Because I never, ever, ever would have pictured me in this job, but it was my first job. So my first job was at an LA Fitness, and I worked on the sales team. I was basically, if you guys have ever gone to like a gym or an LA Fitness, there's two different sides of sales. There's membership sales, and then there's personal training sales. And I was within the personal training side of things. Now, my job was to take all the new members and some of the old through a 30-minute workout and then basically sell them personal training contracts. I would get people to sign up for a year, 6 months, 2 years, however long, of personal training and get commission off of that sales. Guys, I was barely 18, had no work experience, had never sold anything, or thought I had never sold anything before in my life, until I got to that job, and I climbed their ladder. I sold more personal training contracts faster and younger than anyone in my district ever had. My boss obviously had a lot to do with that. She also was one of those women who came in and just like killed the game. But I was so good at it. I instantly fit into sales. And do you want to know why it happened? It was because I believed in I was confident, I believed in myself, and because I didn't wait for other people to open the door. Now, that has a lot to do with how we market ourselves online, with how we talk about what we're selling, how we show up, period, right? No one told me to get on Facebook Live today and talk about this. I opened up that door myself. No one told me to invest in myself. I opened up that door myself. No one told me that I should give other people this power. That's just something that I'm doing because I'm opening that door for you by myself. So when we take the initiative, when we take the responsibility and we put it into our hands and we start applying that all throughout our lives, instantly we get reactions back. Kevin, hi, I'm currently at work, but I'll message you about this later. Yes, thanks, Kevin. Oh my God, it'd be so good to catch up with you. I would love to hear from you. Speaking of Kevin, guys, wow, I kind of totally skipped over this story. I'm going to come back to something that Kevin just reminded me of. Ian had a question online that said, how did you get the idea to work for yourself? So that kind of came pretty quickly in my life, just because I never really liked watching my parents work for other people. It was a really miserable way to watch my parents go to work, come home, be so mad at their bosses, be so distraught over their 9 to 5 or like their lifestyle. And I always kind of blamed that on having to work for other people. So it came at a very early age that I decided I didn't want to work for other people. I've always had a very entrepreneurial kind of mindset. But after getting a taste of working a 9 to 5 or working for someone else at LA Fitness, I was like, oh no, this is not going to happen. A huge driver for me, guys, is self-care. I do not want to live a life where if I am sick, I have to be stressed out about calling into work and making sure my boss is okay with it. Like, that's not even a question in my mind. Like, if I am not feeling well, I need to have the space and the freedom to sleep, to fill my body with nourishing foods, to take the extra time I need to do whatever it is that needs to be done to make myself feel better. So it all started with this place of like self-respect, and like I believed that I was worthy of higher standards than what other people were willing to give me within those 9 to 5s. Does that make sense, Ian? So I'm not saying that like working for other people can't be awesome and can't fit other people's personalities, but for me, it's just not it. And you guys typically will feel, good morning, Alec, thanks for joining. You guys will typically feel if you are a fiery, ambitious entrepreneur or not. It's not something that is easy. Definitely. Awesome, Ian. It's not something that's easy unless you want to do it. You have to want to do what you're doing, or else you are never going to make it. The people who make big success, right, who you see making crazy amounts of money, who have the crazy freedom and the traveling and the perfect life online or whatever you guys are seeing on through the computer, it happens because they stick around for the long run. They put the work in. They're not just sitting there thinking, oh my God, well, I want to do this, but they're saying, no, I want to do this. Okay, I'm going to go do this today. What's one thing I can do today that gets me a step closer to that? Does that make sense? Every day you have to be making steps towards what it is that you want in some way, shape, or form, because eventually it adds up. It's really this time game. It's this game of who's going to make it the longest, who's going to stick around for the long run. That's all you got to do. You just got to hold out. You just got to be the person who keeps showing up, because so many people want the easy way out. No one wants to work for what it is that they really are passionate about because they don't understand how to do it. They don't have the right strategy. They don't have the right mindset. And these are all things that we can teach ourselves. These are all things that we can embody over time. Now, Kevin had brought up another story I wanted to share with you guys. So in between me stopping dancing and moving to Florida and starting to work at LA Fitness, I managed bands for a very brief period of time. And very specifically, one band who used to be called Handicap Parking Lot is now called Execution Day. Yes, I was that punk rock girl, still kind of am. I managed bands, and when I met these guys, they were playing local shows, occasionally a show in Pittsburgh if they're like super lucky to get it. But not to toot my own horn, I'm sure these guys would back me up on everything I'm saying. In a matter of a year, we took them from playing 1 or 2 shows every month or so to playing almost a show every single weekend at some of the biggest stages in Pittsburgh. They were opening for just some huge names, and it was crazy. I remember the last show that we got them was a show with Yellow Card, and they were just so stoked about it. I mean, and here's the thing, guys. I managed that band when I was 17. I wasn't even 18 yet. And I was walking into these bars, owning the place. People respected me so much. I think they thought I was like 28 or something. But guys, I owned it. I stepped into where I wanted to be. I believed that I deserved to be there, and I just opened my own doors. And no one questions you. No one is going to stop you from finding your own success. Nobody. Nobody but yourself. If you feel, thanks, Ian. Yeah, it was pretty cool. If you think that, oh, Alec, okay, Alex said, no, you definitely are. This is all factual. Kate's the biggest go-getter I know. Soak up all this lovely advice she's going to give you guys. She has her head on. Thanks, Alec. That's so sweet. Yeah, so no one told me that I could do that. If anything, people thought I was crazy because I wasn't even like allowed to be in the bars at the times we had to be in there to like play shows. But like no one ever questioned me because I knew like I just showed up and did what I needed to do to get the job done. No one is going to stop you from doing what you want to do other than you. Nobody. No one's going to ask for the piece of paper if you don't care about the piece of paper. No, I mean, unless you're trying to be a doctor. That's totally different. We're not here to be doctors. We're here to be entrepreneurs. You just have to take the initiative. You have to take the action. You cannot let anybody else, you can't wait for anybody else to tell you to do it. So in a sense, that's basically what I'm here today doing. I'm telling you guys whatever it is that you have been wanting to do, whether that's washing your car because that makes you feel better, or whether that's starting your own online business or starting your own coaching business or opening up your own art gallery, like whatever it is, you have to do it for yourself. There's no boundaries. There is nothing stopping you other than you. Hi, Steven. Spot on. Great seeing you do what you do best. Aw, thank you. That's so sweet. So is this all making sense to you guys? I know it sounds like tough love, but like the minute you can get out of your own way, nothing becomes impossible. Everything becomes totally within your reach. It doesn't matter how much money you make. It doesn't matter how much education you have. It doesn't matter where in the world you are located. If you have access to a computer, if you have access to the internet, which like I'm pretty sure most of us do at this point, there's nothing holding you back. And even then, we are very ambitious animals, right? We were not meant to just sit still and do one thing and be content for the rest of our lives. We were meant for insane, great achievement. Every single one of us has the exact same capability as the next. Ian says, boils down to fulfilling your life's purpose. Yeah, absolutely. And guys, I get the question a lot of like, well, how do I find my purpose, right? And I struggled with this forever. Trust me, dropping dance after having planned on being a dancer for my whole life was whiplash. Like I went from having a purpose to not knowing anything about myself. I felt like I had completely lost my identity. So you go on this journey of sorts of finding your purpose. And the thing that really helped me, and the thing that I truly believe exists for this purpose, is struggle. Struggle and discomfort and pain. All of these things exist so that you can see your purpose through them. These things are the reflections, like the polar opposite of your purpose. So, for example, if you feel that you are broke, if you do not like the house that you live in, if you want to live in a bigger, prettier, whatever, more eco-friendly, more whatever house, then realize that that is part of what is going to help you get to your divine purpose, right? There is no such thing as material desires not having legitimacy in our world. We are in the material, physical reality, and we should use every tool and every comfort that is within our reach to make it so that we can then step into that next level. Maslow's hierarchy of needs is popping up here, and I don't have it memorized, but basically it's this idea that once basic survival needs are met, you can start moving towards comfort, and then you can start moving towards basically enlightenment, right? Spiritual development, becoming that next level being of sorts. You have to have your basic needs met first, which means for some of us having a really comfortable house. If we're born into comfort, if we are born into being used to having a 70-degree house in the middle of summer, then you need to make sure that you can provide that for yourself, right? And there's no shame in doing that. The thing that I think really gets under my skin the most is this idea that you have to be a martyr. You can't have money and be spiritual. You can't have money and be of service to other people. That's bullshit. If you don't have money to take care of yourself, how are you ever going to abundantly give to anybody else? How are you ever going to take care of anyone else, You won't. You can't. You'll get burnt out. You'll be stressed out. It won't be fulfilling. So you have to take the initiative to make sure you're being fed, to make sure that your life is overflowing with abundance so that you can then give it to other people. Giving and receiving is a cycle. If you're not receiving on high levels, you can't give on high levels. We need more people who want to give to receive more so that they can give more. And it makes perfect sense. So if you're someone who knows that you want to be able to give to that charity, you want to be able to give to your neighbor, you want to be able to give to your son or your daughter or your parents, you have to receive. There's no shame in that. There's no shame in having a comfortable life and having an abundant life, right? So I kind of got off on a tangent there. I'm going to try to catch back up with where I was at. We were getting into talking about starting an online presence, right? If you guys really want to take your idea and run with it, how do you even start? Purpose. That's where we were at. Finding your purpose, leaning into discomfort in order to get the reflection of your purpose back to you. Now, Ian had earlier asked about how did I know I wanted to work for myself, right? And because I was in such agonizing pain in every job I've ever had that wasn't solely working for myself or like working on my own terms, that was a clear reflection of my desire is to work for myself, obviously. And I should trust that. I think we've been taught that we can't trust our instincts a little bit. And I think that's like a horrible thing to teach people. I think that's a horrible thing to teach young people. For years, I was always told, story, this is great, I'm sure you all can relate to this. In high school, I did not want to take trigonometry. I am not a math person, in case y'all can't tell. I am definitely like the English person, the art brain, definitely not the math brain. When I was told that I had to take trig, I was like, why would I take trigonometry? Like, I don't need it to graduate. I'm not doing anything in my life that will ever require trig. And if I do, I'll get to the point where I can pay someone to do it. Like, not wasting my energy here. I can put it into things that are going to fill me up way better. My school fought me so hard on that. My math teacher came to the point, and like, I should show this to my math teacher just to show him that like I knew what I was talking about. My math teacher came to the point where he was like, look, if you show up and you at least try, I will pass you with a C no matter what. And I was like, no, I'm not doing it. And it was because I knew it wasn't going to fulfill me. I knew it was going to add so much stress and so much lack of energy. It was going to drain the life out of me that it's not worth my time. I've got better priorities for me. And because I was young, I got so much kickback from that. And everyone said, but you're young, you don't know what you want. You're young, you don't know what you're going to do. We have got to stop telling young people that. Your desires and your pain and your discomfort is just as legitimate. It is just as real as an adult. Adults are not that different. I really believe that like these people might have had something to what they were telling me. Like, oh my God, they are older than me. They have the credentials. Like maybe they're right. But guess what, guys? I've worked with every age across the board for the past 3 years, and I'm telling you right now, people do not change that much after high school. College doesn't change people that much. If anything, it like inflates their personality. Like people aren't that different. So you have got to start embracing who you are when you're young so that you can be successful and before you're 40, before you're 50. You do not have to wait. There is no prerequisite to deciding who you are, to trusting your gut, to believing in your intuition. And that's the first step to finding your purpose. You have to understand that what you're feeling matters and it should be respected by everyone and at the least by you. So if you don't like working your 9 to 5, that's a hint. If you don't like the boss that you work for, that's a hint, right? And it's not saying the exact opposite is your perfect dream then, but it's saying that there's something there that you need to get very clear on that's not filling you up so that you can start moving in the opposite direction. When I was younger, I used to say to people, like, I don't need to know what I want to do. I just need to know what I don't want to do. And I think that still holds really true. And then building onto that, you need to know what it is that you need to be fulfilled. Because just doing what you don't want to do isn't necessarily going to be your purpose, isn't necessarily going to fill you up, isn't necessarily going to give you the abundance you need in order to really start serving the world in a different way. So is all this making sense? Do you guys have any questions? Nope, not yet. Okay, cool. So once you guys are super clear on your purpose, I have just a few steps that I want to walk through with you that you guys can start journaling about, start getting very clear in your head about, and start moving in that direction. So your values. Pick about 3, 4, 5 values that rule your world, that create your perspective, and apply those into your business. So for me, a huge one obviously is freedom. I believe everyone has the right to explore and expand their freedom exponentially, right? No one should be told that they're not allowed to do something simply because someone else doesn't want them to do it. Now, keep this in mind. I am not talking about extremes here. Like, laws exist for a reason. Don't even go there. Like, we're here talking about entrepreneurial experiences, and specifically from a spiritual place. So what I mean by this is that people can't tell you that because you didn't go to college, you can't make more money. People can't tell you that because the statistics say this, that you are going to most likely fall into one of these odds or one of these categories. You get to choose how valuable statistics are to you. Jesus Christ, that's so hard to say. I'm sure you guys have noticed at this point, but I definitely have like a slight list. Comes out every now and then. Bear with me, I struggle through it sometimes when I get all hot and passionate. So your values, get really clear on your values. I don't always necessarily think that you have to be specific about them. I think you need to embody the essence and embody the quality of what it is that you value in your head. And it might not necessarily fit into a perfect word that means something to someone else, but just start to get really clear on what your values are. Step 2, your story and its importance. So I started all of this talk out with introducing a few of my stories, a few of my successes, and a few of what some would consider failures. I'm sure a lot of people who actually experienced me in the time of leaving dance probably thought I portrayed it as a failure because it was heart-wrenching to let go of it. It was heart-wrenching to make the leap away from the only thing I had ever focused on before in my life into this bigger calling that I was feeling. And that to some would be considered a failure. So don't look at it with a polarized good, bad, failure, success thing. Just think big life event and why it was important. And maybe start to think about what would have happened if you would not have made that event happen. If things would have been completely opposite, what would have changed in your life today, right? And the importance of why you went through it. Step 3, what will you provide that improves others' lives? So this is the really fun part, because I believe that you should provide something that feels good for you as well as other people. For me, that's inspiring people, that's uplifting people, that's giving people the strategy to succeed at what they're trying to do, to give them the clarity and the perspective that is necessary in order for them to step into what they want to do. That might not be what fills everybody else up though. Like, I love doing this, and other people might want to like bite their fingers off trying to do a live. I don't know, it sounds miserable to some people, I'm sure, but I love it. So I'm going to do things that make me feel good, but are also providing so much value to the people on the other end, right? It's this it's the give and receive cycle again. I'm giving you this content and receiving the feeling of giving back to the community, which is what fills my cup up the most. I love helping people. I've always been a people helper, not necessarily a pleaser, but a helper. So get super clear on what it is that you're going to provide that has value and importance and serves the market in some way that isn't necessarily already being served well. A good way to kind of point that out is the importance within your story are typically things that you can then provide other people. So I've always been very good at providing myself that opening of the door. So I've stepped into a career that is helping other people open their own doors. Step 4, for who? Who is this ideal person that you're serving? Typically, speaking from experience and from watching several other soulful entrepreneurs get into this, typically your ideal client is you a few steps back. And this is pretty much for any industry. You're always catering to someone who is just a few steps behind you, which, ding, 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 very important to mention, you do not have to be an expert in what it is that you're teaching and what it is that you're talking about. You just have to be a few steps ahead. You just have to have enough of the value, enough answers, enough advice to give people that is going to allow them to grow. That's it. That's it. Don't have to be an expert. You guys couldn't, there's tons of questions that get asked to me that I'm not necessarily sure how to answer. And like the best way to answer those things are like, you know what? not sure about that, but here's my interpretation of the underlying issue, or here's where I would direct you to get that answer. So step 5, what happens if she doesn't get it? Oh, duh, yes. Sometimes my notes don't make any sense, guys. So what happens if your ideal client, if your ideal customer doesn't receive this thing that you'd like to give them, right? I have this image in my head. Every day when I wake up and I ask myself, how can I best serve people today? I tend to get these flashes of people who don't receive this message, who need to get these words to them, and they just don't quite get it. They just don't have the time. They don't make the time to get it. Something happens and they don't get it. And I have this image in my head of this person slowly, step by step, moving further and further away from what it is that they were put on this planet to do. And I am not okay with that. I am not okay with people settling for something that they don't deserve, for settling for things that is not worthy of them. And we are all worthy of more, guys. Every single one of us is worthy of so much abundance and so much greatness and so much success. And I am not okay with letting people believe otherwise. I have got my soul lights up, allowing people to feel that feeling and stepping into what it is that they are worthy of. And that is more happiness, more freedom, more quality, more, right? So what happens if your client doesn't get what it is that you're trying to give them? For me, like I said, I see this person slowly working away from happiness, slowly working away from their purpose, never getting that opportunity to get back on track to what it is that they knew they wanted to do from day one, right? Deep down, I always knew this is kind of what I wanted to do. I didn't know the name of it. I didn't know the shape of it, but I knew the essence of it. I knew the quality of it. I knew the lifestyle of it. And then step 6, guys, is strategy. Once you get super clear on what it is that you want to give people, what it is that you want to receive from people, what it is that you need in order to give that to that ideal client, it's all about strategy from there. If you're going to be online, I recommend picking about 1 or 2. What just happened? Sorry, guys. I feel like we just lost electricity for a moment. No, still got Wi-Fi. Okay. Anyway, you have to pick 1 or 2 main platforms, and this is specifically for online, guys, but picking about 1 or 2 main platforms to really master and get yourself on and visible. Make yourself visible. That might mean playing the algorithm a little bit. That might mean doing things that feel a little bit annoying, but like, that's okay. That is, people don't pay attention that much for you to be annoyed by yourself and then them also to be annoyed. Does that make sense? Like, I hear myself talk every day about the same thing, and I'm forced to be here with it all the time, right? But you guys have the choice of coming and going and seeing what you want to see and not seeing maybe what you need to see. So when you show up every day in a really high-value content creation way, that's how you make yourself visible. So for me, my 2 platforms are Facebook and Instagram. I use those 2 because they share a lot of the same content. It saves me time on creating content. And those are also the platforms where my ideal client hangs out on the most. So getting really clear again on your ideal client is so important when you're starting something new online or when you're doing anything online, period. You got to know who you're talking to. Beyond that, guys, it takes a little bit more specifics coming from people for me to be able to answer like what your next step is in creating your online presence or what your next step is for growing your online business. But really it comes down to strategy. Get really good at what it is that you're doing. Get very clear on what it is that you're doing, and don't be afraid to niche down. Get really, really freaking clear on who is going to benefit from your product, your service, your time, and who is not. Because the more clear you are on that, the less energy you're going to be giving to attracting the wrong people. Does that make sense? Are you guys into manifestation at all? Because that's definitely the basis of this conversation is the law of attraction, the secret, manifestation, money mindset. It's all the power in the mind for really controlling your environment. So cool. I'm going to end this on a high note and recap just a little bit on what I talked about at the beginning, and that is do the action now. Do not wait for someone to open up these doors for you. I'm here to remind you that the door exists and that your mindset, your beliefs are the only thing getting in your way from stepping through that door. No one's holding you back. No one can tell you not to do it. No one's going to tell you to do it other than me. I'm going to tell you to do it. I'm telling you to do it right now. So if you guys have been working on something, if you've got this idea brewing in your head, if you have a craving for doing something online but have no idea what it is yet, send me a DM. Let's start talking. I want to have these conversations one-on-one with you because I can't help you when I don't know what your problems are. I can't help you when I don't know the details about what it is that you're trying to do. I'm currently booking free clarity calls. Clarity calls are 30-minute calls where we either FaceTime or do something similar to this, or we can be on the phone. I know some people absolutely hate being on camera, so like whatever, that's fine too. 30 minutes, quality time, us sitting down, talking about what it is that you're feeling, what it is that's coming up for you, and then putting that into real action, translating that into goals, right? It's a bit of a translation phase you have to go through. You kind of have to get messy words out and like kind of talk about the essence of things, and like, I kind of feel like this, but I don't really know. And trust me, guys, I'm so used to the lingo and listening to people say what it is that they think that they want and what it is that they think that they don't want. And like, this is kind of what they're leaning towards, that I am like the translation master. I will take what's in your head, put it on paper, make it make sense, and we'll apply it to your life in a super easy way that's going to make sense for you and be able for you to reach. Sorry, my cat is like on my desk. And make it so possible for you to jump into today, not tomorrow, not next week, not after you get the online certification for how to market on Instagram. Like, no. Stop researching. Stop looking outside of yourself. Let's talk. Let's have the conversation first and just see what's going on. So clarity calls are available. I'll post that up on the replay of this up in the comments, just so you guys can either comment below or send me a DM. If you're on Instagram, totally send me a DM. Let me know what you're thinking. And let's set up clarity calls. I've got a lot of time for the rest of today where I'm just going to be doing some computer work, where I would love to be interrupted and take a clarity call. So if you guys are interested in that today, just hit me up. We'll totally get you on board. Last announcement. We are on the home stretch for Divine Timing Mastermind. So this is a mastermind program for women who are ready to step into exactly what I'm talking about, ready to start taking to action, and are ready to get the support and accountability necessary to keep the ball rolling. It is not easy. Take it from me, guys. I've had every online startup, every website, platform, name, goal, niche, you name it. I've tried it all. And until I started investing in myself, by investing in a coach, by investing in masterminds, by getting people on board to hold me accountable and make it real, it never came into fruition. But in a month after starting a mastermind, I relaunched a brand. I started a website. I've sold multiple coaching experiences, packages, whatnot. I've had multiple clients sign up for clarity calls. I've had multiple people sign up for my email list. My Instagram has grown almost 20% in about the past 3 weeks, which is just insane. And that's all organic. Like, this is all just from interacting with people online, being a human, showing up and doing the work. It is simple. It is so simple. The hardest part is getting clear on what it is. It's the clarity. It's creating the environment that allows clarity to come up, stay there, and go do something with it. That's it. And that's what this mastermind was designed to do. I'm taking 4 very special women who are so ready to do this work, who are like, without a doubt, hands in, ready to stop living in lack, ready to start receiving abundance, is tired of not being able to pay the bills, is so exhausted from having to work 2, 3, 4 different part-time jobs because she just can't deal with the 9 to 5, because I totally get that. Been there, done that. I'm over it. This is me stepping into my purpose. I want to help you step into yours. So if this is resonating with you guys, hit me up. Let's set up clarity calls. I'm going to be available today. We can always look further into the week and into the evening throughout this week, maybe a little bit even on the weekend. We'll see how the week goes. But Divine Timing Mastermind starts next Monday, Monday the 22nd. It is right around the corner. If you guys haven't seen it, I do have an application process available for those of you who are feeling a little bit uneasy with the investment. And just to talk a little bit of money mindset real quick, the more you invest in yourself the first time you invest, the more instant feedback you're going to get from that investment. By me, the first time I invested a little bit over $200. And I thought that was insane. I thought it was just the craziest decision I have ever made, and that it was probably the dumbest decision I had ever made. And guys, seriously, as soon as I got the welcome email, my gears shifted instantly, because I belonged to something, because I was actively putting energy in, not just physical thought energy, but like in the reality, I invested money into myself to do this thing that I wanted to do. It became real. Action became more accessible. The door to open was right smack in my face instead of like half a mile down the road. So if this is speaking to you, you want to make the investment. The original investment is just a little bit too much for you to swing right now. Talk to me about the application process. If you just send me a DM, let me know that you want the application for Divine Timing Mastermind. I am more than happy to send it over to you. It'll take maybe half an hour at most to fill it out. They're pretty intense questions just because I want to make sure I'm getting matched up with the right women out there. I want to make sure that you're ready to do the work. You've got the jive, you got the ambition, you got the power, right? But it's totally worth it. It's more than 50% off the entire price of the program. So hit me up, guys. I hope you enjoyed today's live. I'll probably stop back on tonight just because I'm really in a good live mode today. So if you guys have questions from the first video, maybe we can come back and workshop some very specific questions I get later this evening. So, all right, Facebook, logging off you first. You guys have a great rest of your day.